Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the UKSA's Racing League. My name is Webbo. I'm here to take you through this evening's race. I hope you're all ready for some more exciting racing. We're going to Silverstone for the normal short qualifying, followed by full race, and we can't wait to get underway. This is the very first race of the third season of the Better Racing League, brought to you by UKSAs.com. Normally, your league commentator, Leox, will be with you, but unfortunately, he can't be here today with us, so I'm going to go solo tonight. Wouldn't be my first time, but I can definitely do with some input from the audience, and if you're watching along, do say hello. Do tell me who you're here to support. That's very important. I will keep an eye on the Twitch stream live chat for as long as my device battery lasts, and we'll be able to have a bit of fun together. We do have a slight problem with our lead driver Simapez, who's just managed to get kicked for some reason, but hopefully he'll be joining us back again. We haven't had the full ready up announcement just yet, so you're not missing anything. We're just getting ourselves online and ready to go. To talk you through then the decisions of our race placements. Mercedes will be represented. So Simapez and Nicolas Boita won the pre-season challenges only by 2 points, and they of course then had they were then placed into the Mercedes team. So Simapez and Nicolas Boita in the top Mercedes team, though this is of course equal performance, as you can see on screen, so no panic as to any kind of element that way of adjusted performance. In the Red Bull, we will have Dirt Shark and Rils Taravillo. Racing for Ferrari will be Hercus Monte and Wimax. Then McLaren have Barks, the host and league owner, with Warren. Manic and Pat will take the racing in the Haas team for us tonight and for the season. I'm not quite sure what's happened to our championship leader here, Simapez, who has not been able to get in his car, unfortunately. So it looks like we've got the reserve driver taking place tonight. In the Alfa Romeo will race Brooke and Moti Perez. Moti Perez there. Then in the championship constructors champion Alpine will be Trugster and Tibran. In Alpha Tauri will be Moomin Graham and Zabijaka. Sorry, no. Trying to recover from the Moomin Graham scandal, Alpha Tauri will have Zabijaka and Ruthless Pige. In the Aston Martin will come Eisenborg and Sicario. And finally, the Williams team will be represented this season by Crin and by Yoick. So that completes your regular driver pairings and assignments. And there you go, a sunny day in Silverstone. Take a picture, folks. Take a screenshot, because that is a rare thing. We are on dynamic weather. I haven't heard anything from the drivers as to the weather that we're expecting. Yeah, just try and check that nobody has let me know about the weather situation. Looks like Diego not really expecting to race 100% today, so maybe new to the league, I guess. But we're about to get underway in qualifying. You can see one of the drivers has already headed out. It's one of the Alpha Tauri cars. Is it Ruthless Pige? Yes, indeed it is. I will try to avoid the annoying tick of asking questions that I answer myself. It's something that's been annoying me all weekend long so far on various commentary. to just talk you through what we might expect today. Quali times for this. Simapes has a, I think that means a 1 minute 24.655. So that will be the benchmark the other drivers are heading for. And the record fastest lap, a 27.0 from Nicolas Boita. Ruthless Pige just heading through Copse Corner at the moment. I think a few drivers might have fallen foul of the strict start time, despite presumably wanting to enjoy the debrief and a podium ceremony for the on-track race. So, Ruthless Pige just about starting his first flying lap, and we'll take you through a lap around this gorgeous, if incredibly flat. Well, we were trying to take you through a lap, and unfortunately, because of the medium tyre warm-up procedure, I'm assuming from Ruthless Pige, a little mistake going through Abbey. Looks like Brabus has already invalidated his first attempt as well. So I'm on the hunt now for a driver who might actually be able to take us through a first flying lap. I think it might be Pat, who navigates now the farm complex and now heads out towards the Wellington Straight, out of village and under the bridge, looking for a semi-braking point. Not really much of a braking point. A few downshifts into Brooklands. I think the track is a little bit cold out there for the drivers. That looked very suboptimal into Brooklands and out of Luffield. This is the old pit straight. I don't think they still haven't really named it properly as we then go towards Copse, and we look for this to be flat out. That was a long way away from flat out for Pat. Then we go into Maggots 1 and 2, too much, and then through Beckett's and into then Chapel exit. But this won't be quick, and it won't be a full-on, full-out type of race. Hi to Willian, who is Nicholas's brother. Good to see you. So I'm assuming you're here for Nicholas. Anybody else take your fancy to follow? I wonder, Willian. Ruthless Pige gets a 37.5, which is obviously down to that sideways moment going through the first corner. But Pat on a relatively safe banker lap attempt. He crosses the line there, doesn't register a time. Looks like we're struggling with drivers to actually get ourselves on the pace and onto a decent lap. What about Hercus Monte? He's also invalidated. I do think the drivers experiencing a much less grippy track than they were expecting to come on out of the pits at this point. Nicely through Copse for Dirt Shark. And through Maggots into Beckett's 1 and 2. And we wait for an exit of Chapel, which stays off the grass, stays legal, stays valid. And we head then down the famous Hanger Straight towards equally famous Stoke Corner. Missing the apex, but carrying a lot of speed through Stoke, does Dirt Shark. Gets the car stopped into Vale, and now nice and steady through Club as we go to cross the line. It's a 30.650 with Sicario on a 28.839. That's a big gap to fall into. Ruthless Pige does exactly that, and Brabus beats the best time so far on a 128.0. Elkrin slowing here, obviously not pushing super hard. Or maybe he is. Some grip problems out there for our drivers. Motti Peretz then heading down to finish off this first lap. Let's see what he's got. Kind of a middle of the road entry to Vale and Club. I wonder quite what that was about. Almost looked like a defensive entry. A 29.9 for Motti Peretz. Elcrin will presumably be pretty slow on this lap. Yeah, he's just harvesting, getting ready for a proper run, unless, of course, he decides to come in the pits and put new tyres on. I think Barks might be running a lap at the moment. Here he goes then, coming out of a village corner and down the Wellington Straight, so named after the Wellington aircraft bombers that used to take off and land during the Second World War at this old airfield. He used to say a stat about the British Grand Prix that over the British Grand Prix weekend it becomes the UK's third busiest airport after Heathrow and Gatwick due to the amount of helicopters landing, because there really isn't an airport very near to Silverstone, and the traffic flow is particularly awful getting in and out of the circuit. So the purple middle sector for Barks, for him, gets reasonable turn in to Stowe Corner, although I think he might be expecting a little bit better than that. Might need to just adjust next time. Silverstone, a circuit that you really need a lot of faith in the car. You need to turn toward the barriers at a couple of points. So 28.752 goes Barks. Sicario's time was set on medium tyres and looking very good indeed out there. Our championship hot favourite, Simapes, unfortunately did not make the cut tonight, and will, I guess you could say, fail to pre-qualify by not making the race time. Rils Taravillo for Red Bull. Heads towards Stowe Corner. Nobody really getting onto that curb, which does help you bring the car round, as I think Dirt Shark, Nicholas Boyter goes P3. Dirt Shark deposes Barks by a place and gets a 28.1, but a nice big window to fit the car into. Rils Taravillo 129.222 as Trugster gets the Constructors' Champion from Season 2 Alpine car up into P3. And a nice place to start the race, P3 would be. Hercus Monte may be slightly distracted by the car, I think it was a Red Bull in front, braking on the racing line, but we'll see how his first sector looks as he crosses the line about now. It's 28.0. He's yet to set a time, so we don't get much of a differential to look at on their first laps. For some reason the gaming code still hasn't been adjusted on people's first laps. Fairly slow and low grip through Beckett's and Chapel. Hercus Monte will want a much better exit than that on his next run, but he can keep this one alive and get a safe banker lap in. Currently we have a near 2-second gap between first and 10th, but I do expect that will tighten right up. Beautiful entry, tyres working well to Vale for Hercus Monte, so clawing a bit of time back as he crosses the line. P6 128.503. Good lap from the driver there. Diego's gone out on medium tyres and is down the old pit straight at the moment, heading towards Copse Corner. Way too early on the turn in. I think he's going to burn some fuel now. That was way too early with the turn in. I was talking about having faith in turning the car towards the barrier and expecting the car to wash out slightly, but that was a little bit over the top. Eisenborg then coming to close out his lap in the Aston Martin, and he gets a 29.357 for 11th place. Where's Elcrin right now? He is in the Brooklands and Luffield complex. Proper old school grandstands there on that corner. Some of the oldest grandstands around the world you will find, I think. And they are ear-splitting reverberations you get through there if one of the old V8s or V10s goes past you. Through into Maggots and Beckett's, then goes El Crin. Downshifting in slightly unusual positions goes El Crin. And down the hanger straight he comes for Williams. Of course, a team with great history around this circuit. Some of the most famous moments of Grand Prix racing were Williams cars around Silverstone. And across the line goes El Crin for a 13th placed 1:29.423. Ride with Neil. Haven't seen Neil yet as Brabus puts a new fastest lap on the board, 27.7, 3/10 faster than anybody else. And again, nicely down into Brooklands through Luffield he goes, with using the engine to brake the car into 8th gear and across full width of the track, full throttle all the way through, and now into the Maggots. Beckett's. That's a bit more like it, using 6th gear on the way out. That's a nice exit for Neil. 104.223 for him. There's a lot of cars moving around on the racing line ahead of him. I think they're too far ahead to cause a problem, and he's really got this hooked up, but just a little bit of overspeed on the exit. He had full commitment into Stowe, and unfortunately it just didn't work out for him, so that lap invalidated. And we'll see, listen to the engine. Fourth gear again. Some very different lines out there, and as Brabus goes faster still on his second lap on the soft tyres, he's gone into P1 with 2 lap old softs, a 127.405. That's quite remarkable. So we'll try and watch his next attempt. Just want to give everybody a fair crack of the whip here. NXQK to the line then. It's only 16th, but it's a safe lap on the board. Perhaps other drivers will do better. Womack's into P7 in the Ferrari, much more like it, and Sicario tries to chase down Brabus. He's got 7/10, I think. No, he hasn't got 7/10. Here he goes, crossing the line, 3/10 of a second faster through that corner. Not good enough for a purple sector though. Better than he's been before, and he's done about half the job as Truckster deposes him off the front row. Truckster in the Alpine goes P2 with perhaps one more run left in the drivers. Sicario into Maggots and Beckett's then. Yeah, much better. That's how you do it. 8th, 7th, 6th. He's gained another almost 10th, so could be online for getting back on the front row, but it feels like at the moment the pole position is out of contention, and he drifts that few millimeters wide. Real Staravillo goes 1.4 seconds faster than he'd been before, up onto P3. Tremendous stuff. And Nicholas Boiter in second as well. Rumax, I think, is likely headed into the pits, is he? Surely he didn't get round that quickly. Yeah, this is much slower. Heading to the pit lane. A difficult pit entry. I'll see if that features in our race later. It is somewhat hard to get the reference point for braking, especially if there's mixed conditions. Pat then. Next one on a lap. Currently at the old pit straight. Lets the engine bring the car down into 6th and now 5th gear. Goes Pat. Waiting for a very late apex of Stowe. That gives him good drive on the way out, actually. into Vale. Perhaps just that few centimetres too much of entry curb. And away to the line then, Pat P13. Just looking for anybody else doing one. Monty Perez, sorry. Yeah, struggling to get the car out of Village. 1 minute 20 to go. Still several cars in the pits. I think that they might have decided that's as fast as they're going to go in the top 5. No time to turn the car around now and get out before the checkered flag falls. So these laps, or the out laps that are running, are the ones that we will see contend for the top at the end of this session. Monty Perez, I'm pretty sure, lifted on the way into Stowe. On the way into Copse. Depends on your setup, of course. If you're using a lower downforce setting, you might need to lift, and maybe if you're not feeling particularly confident in the car as well. Getting into Stowe very nicely is Monty Perez for the FIL team that I haven't heard of before, unfortunately. Goes to cross the line there. Monty Perez moves up to P16. P16 for Monty Perez. I'm pretty sure Dirt Shark and Hercus Monte might be on track. Actually, Hercus is slightly ahead. He's 2/10 faster than he's been before, and he's got an identical time to Sicario right now. Dirt Shark 2.4 seconds. No, that's just the last time he crossed the line. He's going to cross the timing beam 0.139, so it's a real shootout here for Hercus and Dirt Shark. Let's see. I won't get a sector update until he's got out of Chapel. There's a nice little toe. He's tiny amount up, but he only needs a tiny amount to get up into P5. We'll see what Dirt Shark can do. Running 8th gear, of course, out of Copse. Perhaps a slightly early downshift. Going to use 5th gear for a little bit of extra traction coming out of Chapel. It's a nearly 4/10 improvement, and Hercus Monte did get up to Sicario by clearing an extra 10th, but I think Dirt Shark might have this one and get both of them. Ruthless Pige even fits into that tiny gap between Hercus Monte and Sicario for P6. I think Dirt Shark, if this goes well, and he's slightly long, wow, how did he hold on to that lap? And he goes P3 for Dirt Shark, right next to his teammate Rills, and it's Brabus, Boita, Dirt Shark and Taravillo, Trugster, Hercus, Neil, Pige, Sicario and Eisenborg, then followed by Wumax, Tibran, Yoke, Barks, Enix, QK, Pat, Monty Perez, Elkrin, Diego and Manic, your 20 drivers. Fantastic, dramatic qualifying. Brabus takes it by just over 1/10 of a second in the end, despite having massive gaps at one point. 27.405, a very impressive time. I would give him screen time, but I would just be staring at the pit lane at this point. Dirt Shark with a very impressive time at the end of the session, with the track at its absolute best as well. Tremendous stuff there from our drivers. You have it then, Brabus with the pole for Italy and McLaren. Brazilian Nicolas Boita in the Mercedes grabs second place and a nice front row start. Dirt Shark over the pond from America gets third place then. Rills, Truckster, Hercus Monte, Neal, Ruthless Pige, Sicario and Eisenborg will start on those tyres. Sicario on the mediums, followed by Wumax, T-Bran, Yoke, Barks, NXQK, Pat, Motti Peretz, Elkrin, Diego and Manic from the rear in the Haas. And free choice of tyres, as we've said. Nicolas Boita struggling, I believe, with some sort of cramp in his left leg. Needs to get out there and do some stretching. Maybe needs a family member to do a quick calf massage. A long way to go in the race. The weather looking less favourable, perhaps, than we saw in the qualifying session. It was bright sunshine. It does seem to have got a bit overcast there. Looking to see any umbrellas or any signs of rain. I haven't seen anything yet, and I haven't yet had an update from any drivers on the weather. So we're about to get underway, and you got Mercedes and McLaren, then the two Red Bulls getting away from the start there. They're going to struggle to navigate the first few switchback corners without running into each other, but they will be able to have a little bit of extra trust that their teammate is there with them. Pit stop strategy, possible soft medium or a soft medium. I think we will see two stops around here tonight. Quite how it works out in the end is anyone's guess at the moment. Soft tyres almost universal apart from Sicario and Wumax. So we're looking for a good race here. Of course, we've had a reasonable season break. Plenty of time for the drivers to brush up on their skills. Lots of practice. And this first race of the season, they will have had the maximum amount of practice time to focus on this one. So Alfa Romeo starting 15th and 17th, almost as bad as Haas starting 16th and 20th. Barks some distance from his McLaren teammate there in 14th, and we see the Alpine of Yoke starts 13th with his teammate Elkrin, the Williams of Yoke with his teammate Krin in 13th and 18th. T-Bran in the Alpine is 12th. His teammates are put there in 5th. And then Wumax 11th with his teammate in 6th place. Eisenborg and Sicario, similar to the Red Bulls. These Aston Martins starting next to each other on the grid. Ruthless Pige putting one over his teammate quite considerably there in the first qualifying of the season. We have these two Red Bulls. They're going to try and pounce on the front row. Lots of slipstream available to the drivers on that first couple of laps before they get the DRS even. And then it's all about how your race management is, and actually it's a lot different to the race management of a 50% race. The margins are tighter for pit stop strategies, and it's a real endurance and focus battle for many drivers out there. Welcome if you are joining us on YouTube. I won't be able to watch that live chat, so if you do want to have a chat and talk us through your opinions on the race, do join us on Twitch. We've got 5 lights for the first race in season 3, and we are away and looking quite slow away from the grid. Most of the drivers, I think the foremost Alpine of Truckster was quite good, and very wide runs the Red Bull of Dirt Shark and Hercus Monte already up the inside, screaming down towards the farm complex here and out through village. The Red Bull of Dirt Shark trying to recover, but I think the Ferrari will have a better drive out of the corner. Dirt Shark and Hercus Monte right with each other as we see the Alpines struggling a bit there with a Disco. Massive move to the inside as they head towards Brooklands from the AlphaTauri driver, who is almost wiped out by the Mercedes car of Neil, and they continue through the race. I think those medium tyres of Womack's a bit of a struggle at the outset. He's dropping back from his initial place, but not so far as Sicario, who has really struggled away from the line. It's lap 1. It's Brabus, Nicholas, Rills, Hercus and Dirt Shark. Truckster, we ride with Ruthless Pige and Neil very close behind, and this is where the battles are most likely to be seen, as we see Neil coming down the hanger straight. Needs to balance between attack and defence here. Could well end up with a car sneaking down the inside into the Stowe corner. Not close enough to have a go into the final corner Vale and Club. Final corners, I should say, excuse me. But Brabus has already broken the DRS line from Nicholas Boita, Rills Trevillo in 3rd, Hercus Monte in 4th. Very, very close. Let's see if those guys are likely to do anything as we close in under braking and off throttle. Pit stops for T-Bran and Manic. I'm assuming picking up some damage and having to switch strategy. Medium tyres on T-Bran. Manic has yet to make a tyre decision. Putting the mediums on might be a smart way to go, but Manic's gone for softs with the possibility of a safety car. Motti Peretz was slow and caused a yellow flag through Abbey, so I don't know if that was a very slow moment. Here comes Neil. He goes to try and make the outside move work in Copse. No such way through, and he's slow away, and it looks like the Ferrari of Womack's crowding him out of the circuit. He had the inside line, the car was ahead, and he gets himself through Maggots and Beckett's very nicely. William reminding me, thank you for that we don't have safety car, of course. My bad, I'd forgotten about that particular rule. Womack's P7, Ruthless Pige P8, and Neil in P9. The Sicario's tyres look to be starting to build up temperature. I think Hercus Monte and Rills are fighting now. Rills, look at this, we're about to go 4 cars to try and get through Abbey. The Alpine of Truckster trying to sneak up the inside, but I think Hercus had the better line. Further back though, we've got Dirt Shark coming up the outside. He might need to switch back this one, but Truckster started to try and hug the line, hug the racing line at the apex, gets away, but then Dirt Shark going wide. If that was full throttle, he'll pick up a warning doing that, and he will see the inside into Brooklands. You'll see Truckster come screaming through. Of course, he gets the inside into Lovefield, and it's a nice line through there. We'll see if Truckster can do a cutback. He's going to try. It's difficult to ride with Truckster because of his connection right now. But he tries to sneak up. He's getting as much of a slipstream as possible, but that should be place held onto, and Dirt Shark goes wide again. So we're already struggling on the tyres, and we're only part way through lap 3. It's Brabus, Boita and Taravillo, Monte, Dirt Shark and Truckster, the top 6, with Womack's in a great place here, the lead medium driver. Here comes Truckster then on Dirt Shark. Does he get up the inside? He does, but he's slow at the apex. And Dirt Shark holding on, and they head down into Vale. Job done. Brilliant stuff. So, Dirt Shark manages to hang on. Truckster, perhaps the sting has gone out of his fight slightly. And now Monte approaching the back of Rills. We have a Dirt Shark dropping out. Dirt Shark has lost the car on the exit of Abbey and has slipped down to P12 so far. Barks getting past him, and it looks like El Crin, NXQK and Yoke struggling as well. Yoke with a big problem and losing several places, but we focus on where the big points are on offer. So a long race to go for T-Bran and Manic. We do still have 20 runners, which is great to see so far. Elkrin gets by Dirt Shark. Eisenborg drops behind Barks Littlewood and several other drivers. I think he's had an off moment. He's stranded on the exit of Luffield at the moment. Is he actually out of the race? Let's wait and see. No, he's got the car back up to racing speed, but not before Pat got past him on those early soft tyres. Majority of the field, of course, soft tyres from the start. But Womack now closing within DRS of Trugster. It looks like Ruthless Pige is challenging him, but he's actually now defending from Neil again. Very, very tight here for the battle for 6th place. Womack has slipped back from Trugster after that attempt from Ruthless Pige, who has now got mirrors full of Mercedes. Nicholas Boyton not currently struggling too much from this braking leg pain he had. Not a broken leg, but the leg used for braking. In fact, I think he's challenging here. Down the inside into Brooklands, now through Luffield and Brabus. Really no real amount of grip to spare here to try and beat and retaliate. Couldn't quite get the job done, and the lead taken by Nicholas Boyter on lap 5. Let's see if Brabus can do anything to retaliate. He'll get DRS down the Hangar Straight if he can get a good exit of Chapel, but it's really hard with these cars. As the aero is loaded on the exit of Chapel, throttle is open. Trugster picks up our first penalty this evening, a 3-second time penalty for falling foul of track limits, and I think that will be a first of many. Brabus is closed back again. Hercus and Reels Taravillo, look at this one. Reels Taravillo coming down the inside into Vale. That's not going to be easy to complete, but he backs out of it. Very, very good driving from Reels. He had his nose ahead, but he knew he wasn't going to be able to make the exit, so he just waited at the apex for Hercus to be able to get away, and that's very good racing from Reels. Live to fight another day. Don't trigger a penalty fighting too hard over what is just less than 10%, just over 10% of the race complete so far. Neil is close here. I think Brabus might be about to retaliate and have another go at Nicholas Boyter, whose connection is not looking amazing right now. But Brabus dropping back to 6/10, but Hercus Monte no such trouble as he gets right up behind. This is one of those classic corners you lose aero through Cops, almost full throttle through there. Not quite, as Reels goes wide. I think is struggling on his tyres. 3-second penalty for Manic and Diego, both picked up on lap 6. So those warnings adding up now. But here comes Hercus with DRS open, tries to get the inside line, uses 2 wheels on the grass and into Stowe. You obviously can't do that when it's raining around Silverstone, but he gets the job done up to P3. Potential podium position for Hercus, and also manages to get sufficiently past that Reels was unable to have a go into the Vale and Club after losing the place in Stowe. So tremendous driving so far from everybody. Neil might have a go shortly on Womack for P6. Womack on those medium tyres. Neil's been hanging on to his softs really well. Womack leaves a car width on the inside, anticipating a late move, a big lunge, and another penalty on the board now, this time for LXQK. I think Neil might be close enough here, get some slipstream, get some DRS, and they go down into Brooklands. The outside move to Brooklands is a smart place to be because of the next right-hander, and of course all the drivers know this, but it's a good bit of racecraft from Neil, up to P6 in the Mercedes, while his teammate leads the race on lap 7 from Brabus, who is almost out of DRS range. Next to keep battling, skipping around between battles here comes Reels. He gets a lot of curb, anticipating less grip into Maggots. Oh, and that is super wide out of Chapel. Really lost the car. I'm sure we'll have picked up a warning there. Hercus gives him nothing on the inside, but the job is already done with the overspeed. And that's an interesting amount of traction he got out of using the grass. But Hercus trying to get around the outside. You can do this. Oh, fantastic stuff from Hercus as he gets the place back, knowing the switchback is coming. New fastest lap from Brabus, and now Rills has to worry about Truckster behind him. Great from Hercus. Really smart driving, and Truckster getting very, very close to the back of Rills. Red Bull. Looks like Ruthless Peach dropping a couple of places. Might be off track in Abbey. It's not the first time we've seen that tonight from the drivers. It might be from Peach, but certainly the first, not the first time overall. Rills Taravilla goes to the outside on Hercus Monte, who has the inside line. Does Truckster fancy any of this? Not quite. Rills Taravilla has the inside line going through Luffield. Truckster might get an interchangeable double toe. I think there's the tiniest bit of contact wheel to wheel between Rills and Hercus. Does anybody brake too late? Rills takes a very wide line, but none so wide as Truckster. Struggling now to hold on to the car, and they will go into Maggots and Beckett's as Hercus stuck between the middle of Truckster and Rills in front. Rills obviously not taking the same exit line, and Hercus similarly not going for a similar move. He's the one with the best opportunity here. Goes for the outside move into Stowe. It's perfectly possible to make that work, and so he does, out into the grippy side, but back to the inside comes Rills, and can he get his nose out of the way in time? He does. Truckster though will have good drive off the club corner, perhaps slightly too much drive off the club corner. They both run over the curb on the exit of the, and onto the Hamilton straight. Now for the 9th time they go in race conditions tonight, and Hercus keeps his P3 over Rills. Truckster watching behind, and they've gapped Neil somewhat at this point, but Neil will probably be on his way back. Womack's close to Neil, and then Sicario has gained back lots of the places that he lost early doors. Sicario starting to really close in behind Womack's here. Sicario in the Aston Martin this season. No way through just yet as Rills and Hercus continue to fight. They go through Brooklands and Luffield side by side once again, and the Ferrari on the outside should have slightly better traction, but the corner belongs to the Red Bull on the inside. Can they hold on? They both were slightly lifting through there, and Truckster gains time on both of them. Rills round the outside into Maggots, and round the outside into Beckett's goes Truckster with a great line through the corner. He'll get DRS, so will Hercus behind him, but the overspeed belongs to the Alpine. How is Hercus doing this? He's doing it by spending the battery down to the inside into Stowe. This is the opposite of how he held onto the place before. Truckster going down the inside will get a good line onto the corner, but Hercus, what braking power into Vale, regains 4th place and looked for a moment like he was going to be out of both. A double wave yellow for a double DNF of Diego and Pat back there, and that will just stymie the progress of some of this racing. It was on the entry into Maggots. They both are stranded, and that is a big deal. That's a big accident for both cars. Brabus closes in, of course, under this yellow flag conditions. It's only in one sector, so the drivers can continue to battle throughout the rest of the track. And battle they do. Hercus and Rills are going to do it again through the old pit entry section of the track, what used to be the end of the track. Tremendous stuff here from the drivers. Really, really fun racing. So Hercus to the outside into Maggots. They go again with better entry into Maggots 2 for Hercus this time, but not leaving the door open to such an extent on Truckster. Now he's a little way back, but he's got the slipstream and DRS. Rills not giving an inch on the inside. Says, you go round the long way, mate. And he's not scared to do this, Hercus. round the outside, both washing out slightly, both lifting off, and up the inside comes Truxtun. Will he try and get both drivers in one go? Come on, boys. 3 into Vale will never work. Can we try and get our way out of it? Diego leaves the session on us, but look at this as they go side by side once again. There's the Alpine on the outside, and they'll go into Abbey. We're trying to get you a good camera angle, and Truxtun holds the line on the inside. These 3 drivers giving us absolute show-stopping action. Oh, massive overspeed, and late on the brakes goes Herkes. That's no way to complete the village section, Farming Village, and round gets a switch back coming out though with DRS and a little bit of battery. Down into Brooklands they go once again. Absolutely, William says what a battle this one is. Fantastic. Brabus is within DRS range again on the lead, but hopefully William is enjoying this one more than he would watching his brother leading the race somewhat on his own. These guys now, they've cost themselves 11 seconds to the leaders, and actually Neil is starting to catch. This could be a multi-way battle rather than a 3-way battle for the 3rd place tonight, as the rest of the drivers behind starting to queue up, so they need to organise themselves. It's hard enough battling with 2 drivers. Try and make that several and it becomes really difficult. It's lap 11. We haven't seen any of the soft runners coming into the pits yet, but it is a high degradation circuit, and these guys will certainly not be saving any tyres with the way they're driving. So expect perhaps the rearmost of these 3, to perhaps be the first to come into the pits, but Brabus might be getting very close now. He's had a few laps to charge the battery and get going on Nicholas Boita. Here he comes then with DRS. I think Nicholas knows he's too far away to make a move at this stage. Let's go back to our 3-way battle and see if Herkes can close in, make a move. He'll have to use the inside. There's no way through yet. And they continue round once again to choosing very different lines through the Luffield long sweeping right-hander. Through into Copse they go, just a quarter of a second apart now. I think Truxtun has dropped back slightly from this battle. Herkes needing a lot more entry speed, but it's all about the exit here. Power delivery through Chapel. DRS is open before you finish steering. I think he's a little way too far back, but a different line through Stowe might help him close in towards the final corner. Vale and Club. No pit stops yet from the drivers, and we wait for those first pit stops from the soft tyre runners. Dirt Shark gets a penalty. They're really adding up. You see Truxtun, the highest most driver, with a penalty, and then the rest of the top 9 without so far, and those will really affect the finishing order later on, but we will focus on progress so far. Well, we get to take a breath. There's a yellow flag, very quickly dealt with. We can see that Wumax has gained 3 places, Barks 4, Elcrin 7 up. Everybody else roughly where they started. It's Dirt Shark that's had the big problem among the leaders at least, but he's dropped 6, as has Rufus Page, and unfortunately we've lost Diego and Pat. So quick check on penalties. So starting to add up now. Elcrin and NX have got 2 each, up to 6 seconds. And now this battle has become a bit of a 2-way battle between Herkes and Rills. Truxtun's had some fun with them, but it's not enough now. Brabus, as I say, just dropping out of range from the leader slightly. He's still within DRS though. Here comes Herkes, getting good drive once again. Tries the outside move. He is a little bit behind. He's going to sweep round there with great speed mid-corner. They'll go side by side into Vale, where the Red Bull driver knows he's got the inside line through Club, and Herkes perhaps could have switched back there. It's going to a move going in towards Abbey. Is he? It's a difficult place to have a go, but there he goes through into the next corner. And of course, that little moment meant Trugster was able to get right back on the gearbox of this battle. So we continue into lap 14, and the majority of those 14 laps has seen these two drivers battling it out. Perhaps, Willian, you can give us an update on how the leader's feeling on his tyres at the moment, or his planned strategy, or who you think will triumph in this particular battle of Rils, Hercus and Trugster. Who is able to race like this and keep that little bit of extra tyre life, or who goes for the undercut, because the undercut will be super powerful with the drivers this close together. Hercus taking that wide line into Maggots again. William said Nicholas is feeling good at the moment. Would he say anything else? I don't know. He says tyres are gone. So yeah, definitely running into pit stop window for the drivers. Hercus, would he try this one? Late move, but the last time out they tried to go round here. Somehow or other, Hercus has survived the club corner. It looks like Neil is going to have a go on the back of Trugster as well. Rils on the inside, once again through Abbey. Trugster going for a late move down the outside, and Neil joining the party. Sicario wants a little go on this one as well. Fantastic. Dirt Shock and Barks swapping places as we still wait for the first pit stop from the soft starters, at least those that haven't had an issue away from the line, like Yoke and Manic. William says, if only F1 was this exciting. Well, hopefully it will be. This is brilliant stuff once again. So Brabus is still only 7/10 behind the leader. Nicholas Boita won't let him get away. This battle is dropping further and further back. It now starts 15 seconds away from the lead. Rils has that third place. Hercus is going to go again. Another trip. It's very, very close, but he's got very little in terms of overspeed. To the outside, round Stowe once again they go. Now what happens as they approach Vale and Club? Can Hercus hold the line and use the inside line, keep his positioning on track? Rils takes the undercut. Trugster is right with Rils now, closing in. Oh, he picks up another penalty, Trugster. That didn't look particularly fair on him, did it? He takes the middle line though, fearing a move from Neil on the inside. And Rils is up the inside of Hercus. Rils will have a good drive off the corner here. Hercus lets him have the inside. And brilliant helicopter cam shot. I honestly wish we had helicopter cam for virtually the whole race, because it really helps understand where cars are on track. Rils holding off Hercus once again. Trugster struggling with the attention of Neil behind him. And you've got to feel like one of these 5 drivers pits and they will get a fantastic undercut. Hercus runs wide through Copse, and I think that means Trugster will be right with him if he can navigate Maggots and Beckett safely. Brabus now very, very close to battling for the lead. Tries to take the inside. Nicholas Boyder very smartly holds that outside line with a little bit of a faster apex. That's how far these guys are down the road. And Brabus has picked up a penalty and has DNF'd. Brabus DNF's out of the session there and then. Incredible stuff as Brabus has DNF'd. I'm assuming that is a loss of traction, getting so close to the back of the car in front. Is it? Brabus, where are you? Yes, he's lost the car. He's ditched it on the Hamilton straight. He's facing the wrong way into the wall. And a big moment there. It's completely changed the complexion of the race for Nicholas Boita. Yellow flag through that sector. No overtaking, but incredible. Williams saying that he crashed on the stopped car. Are we talking here about Brabus crashed on the stopped car? Had it not been cleared by the stewards? Is that the problem? So, Brabus from second on in our order, unfortunately, heading out of the race, will not pick up anything from tonight's racing. Shocking stuff already. So Williams saying Monty Perez had crashed there. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's what happened with Brabus. Yeah, hitting the debris or hitting the stopped car. Anyway, Hercus Monte has another go. He's round the outside despite the fact that he's derating. Behind them comes Truckster and Neil battling it out, and Hercus cuts across the front wing. Possible claim for a double movement there. I'm not sure which of these two drivers is the faster of the two, because they just can't seem to gap each other. Truckster survived against Neil, and they'll now go into Abbey with Hercus Monte in second place. The stakes have just got higher with this five-way battle, because it's now for second place. Nicholas Boiter, you feel the only person that can stop him is a loss of focus himself. Hercus is away nearly 4/10, so maybe he's got some pace now. He can only hope here that Truckster and Neil have a go at each other, or have a go at Rills, I should say, and they're doing exactly that. What happened to Neil? Neil out. Neil has crashed, battling with Truckster around the outside, I think, and has spun onto the grass, so he's going to have to recover this one. So Sicario will now be the rearmost driver of this. Well, he's been the rearmost driver of this battle, but it's now down to 4. It's down to 4 for second place. Neil slipping back behind Barks. I imagine that's just trying to get those tyres back under racing conditions. I'm assuming that Brabus must have been well off the racing line to have hit Monty Perez's car. Off the track at least goes Truckster, taking the Perez line, but that was all wrong going into the Stowe corner. He should have quite a bit of damage on the car, and certainly no front wing, so slowly, gingerly he goes into the pits. Truckster, it's all happening here on lap 18 and 19. So Truckster in the pits, the first one, but he's behind Dirt Shark now, and perhaps is he out of this battle that is now down to 3. We've lost 2 cars from our 5-way battle, unfortunately, due to different reasons. Truckster slipping down, and yeah, heading into the pits, putting hard tyres on now. Perhaps going to try that, or one-stop routine. This is a track you can use the hard tyres because of the high deg and lots of turning forces going through the car. We get another penalty on the board, and I'd love it if the drivers would stop getting penalties. It does make commentary quite difficult. Rills and Hercus, though, they have survived these last few corners, these last few laps, and are still right there. And Rills goes for the inside line into Stowe, very easily left over, and Neil drops out. Neil has retired from the session. Neil has slipped out of the Maggots corner. We've lost another one, another driver. Let's go and have a look where his car is. We'll try and find our look right here as we go through the corners. Can we just about make it out? Just. That's the Perez line in the sprint of 2021. Williams says Nicholas can't go much longer on these tyres. They are dead. So we could get the first of our pit stops, but he's almost got a pit stop in hand. Such is his dominance so far. So Rills to the outside now into the Brooklands corner. Seem to be having a mental block on the word Brooklands today. Hercus trying to switch back but can't get the car underneath, and Neil out of the race. So it's Rils, Hercus, Sicario second, third and fourth. Sicario's not really getting too heavily involved here. I wonder if he's just waiting for them to pit. But unfortunately, with them battling like this, they are slowing him down on his overall race pace. Remember those two medium runners, Sicario and Womax, doing fantastically so far tonight. We have 15 cars left in the race on lap 20. It's Nicholas Boita from Rils Taravillo, Hercus Monte, Sicario, Womax, Barks, Dirt Shark, Elkrin, Eisenborg, NXQK, the top 10. Was that Rils out? Oh, Rils in the pits. I saw him suddenly flash by on the right. Rils is in the pits, currently going under the new podium and into the pits. So the first of the pitters. This will trigger, I would have thought, Hercus to respond quickly. He needs to engage hammer time. He doesn't need any moves from Sicario behind him, but hammer time would be most welcome here for Hercus, or I suppose in Ferrari parlance, it's time to push a laquelle. Push a laquelle. And he will go for it. So he gets to spend everything defending the undercut here from Rils Taravillo, who slips all the way back to P11. But of course, the majority of these drivers will now start to pit. Dirt Shark gets past Barks. They're in P5 and 6. So still no sign of Nicholas coming the pits. Maybe one of the drivers pitting behind him will trigger him to do that. Does he actually just want the Grand Slam tonight? And is he going for leading every lap? We will see. So Hercus currently screaming down the hangar straight, just ahead of this group of Barks and Dirt Shark. Oh, Barks picks up a new 3-second penalty here. Unfortunately, so that's now 3 each for him and Dirt Shark. I guess evening things out a little bit. A pit stop coming from either? No, they both stay out. Nicholas Boita stays out, and Hercus, interestingly here, he stays out too. So perhaps he's almost certain to give up the defense of the undercut, and he's just going to go for better grip at the end of the race. Barks and Dirt Shark here. Let's see what kind of pace Rils has got. He's actually stuck behind Ruthless Peach at the moment. Now, on the one hand, he gets DRS, which is good for his undercut. And he's actually just completely let go by Ruthless Peach. They're not teammates, as far as I can tell, certainly. But the AlphaTauri ceding to the Red Bull there very, very easily, and that could have been a race for position and might be very important later on when Hercus finally makes his pit stop. So an interesting move there. Rils was finding himself stuck behind for a moment, Ruthless Peach, but it was very quickly released. Yeah, and William says into team orders. Maybe that's a Helmut Marko call there. Or maybe they're just good mates, but I do like to see good mates fighting even harder with each other than maybe just giving each other favours. Barks is close. Sicario was about to make a move, but Hercus finally pits. So 2 laps longer he goes. Does Barks decide to come in? No, a lot of these drivers running more than 20 laps on the soft tyre, which is remarkable, frankly, leaving themselves a good clean 30 to go on medium tyres. Nice round number. Out he comes then, Hercus. What kind of work has he done on the in laps relative to the out laps of his main rival tonight and co-battler that would be Rils. Ruthless Peach speeds on the way into the pit lane. Rils Taravillo has definitely tried to drop the hammer with the fastest lap, but he's miles behind Hercus Monte, so the undercut definitely not working. Hercus braving it out for 2 extra laps. Now he's got better tyres, but he's put softs on again. So he's going to have to stop again. He's definitely gone for a 2-stopper. Really interesting here, Hercus. Why would you run your softs that long if you were going to go onto softs again? Crazy. So he's got to fit a longer stint tyre. I guess he could go super aggressive now, but he's going to have to stop again. And possibly Rills is planning not to. So Rills will look at that tyre selection and be very interested indeed. Dirt Shark and Barks' battle has gapped out a little bit there. In fact, everybody's battles have gapped out. Nicholas finally in the pits from the lead of the race, but only about 15 seconds it was in front of Sicario in the end. So I think Sicario will take the lead, and yes, there he goes past Nicholas Boiter in the pits. So I don't think Nicholas is going to be able to lead every lap of this race. In fact, I think is Womack and Nicholas Boiter going to still be battling here. Womack has got the tyres in better working order to start with, but wow, Nicholas just screams past again. Was that a friend letting another friend go? Fastest lap to Rills, who is on the offensive with Barks pitting. Rills can see Eisenborg ahead, who Herkus has just got past really easily. Eisenborg is running these tyres as long as he can. So, lap 24 of 52, Sicario only making it one more lap than the soft runners did on medium tyres. That's really interesting. Does he go for soft? Is he going for a medium soft? I wonder. That's a very inconvenient time to pit. And Nicholas retakes the lead then on lap 25 after those pit stops. Womack goes on past Sicario, and yeah, Sicario has gone for soft tyres. So he and Herkus will be in a very similar position to one another. Sicario on his way out of the pits, and talk of Herkus, he's coming right on past. So Herkus, having put a huge amount of speed on top of Rills' laps, Herkus really unlocking something with these soft tyres now, but he needs to try and gain a pit stop on Rills in order to make that strategic decision work. Because I think Rills is treating these mediums pretty gently to get himself to the end of the race. Apologies if you're messaging in the live chat. I'm afraid I've lost it temporarily. Hopefully it's going to come back for me. But Rills is now got a new driver to play with, and it's Eisenborg, and it should be a lot easier here than some of the battles he's had earlier. No shade on Eisenborg, but purely because of the difference in tyres. Rills on 3-lap-old mediums, Eisenborg running softs out to 24 laps, and not even no other driver has managed that yet. In fact, there are drivers who have made their mediums last even less time. Rills with good traction out of Chapel, good DRS, gets the job done quite easily, of course, into Stowe Corner. And in the pits comes Eisenborg. Needed to be careful there, actually. It's very easy to run into the back of another driver who is starting to brake as you go towards the pit lane. But he gets through. Eisenborg in the pits then, 24 laps on the soft tyre. Must be going for a medium, a soft medium one-stop race here. There's no other reason you would hang on to those tyres for that long. And the lack, of course, of the safety car in this league means that the strategic options are so much more important. The decisions you make, the pits, if you can save a pit stop and stay quick enough, you're playing. There's no Lady Luck who's going to ruin your race. So Nicholas then in the lead, 4.5 seconds ahead of the yet to stop Ferrari driver Womack. A further 10 back comes Herkus. Then comes Rills, Sicario, Dirt Shark, T-Bran, Barks, Yoke and Trugster on the hard tyres. I wonder if he's able to get closer. T-Bran We haven't paid him a lot of attention today, but he's close here to Dirt Shark. Dirt Shark's been in the thick of it quite often tonight. I do seem to have live chat back, so if you've said anything in the last 5 minutes, say it again, because I think I should now be able to see it. Can't seem to recover it previously though. So T-Bran, 3/4 of a second behind Dirt Shark, staying within DRS if he can. He's on old mediums, and if he's going for a one-stopper, needs to run them a little bit longer. Though of course, having now passed the halfway point with one driver at least, Eisenborg, having made that half distance on the softs, with the cars now lighter on fuel, if you do stop for softs now, it is at least theoretically possible. If you can drive like Eisenborg, then maybe it's possible to use the softs to the end. So possibly there for Sicario, and anybody else? No, I don't think so. T-Bran might, and Wumax might go for it. I wonder what condition Wumax tyres are in. T-Bran just dropping back significantly there from the back. Dirt Shark on that lap, really difficult lap with Dirt Shark's new mediums in comparison. I thought Yoke was about to get close, but no cigar yet. But Ruthless Peach, probably the closest guy to anybody else on track right now. Eisenborg on slightly fresher mediums with a good initial bite on the tyres he'll have, but it will equalise very quickly. Very small amount of deg per lap in these 100% conditions. So lap 28 of 52. We're on the home stretch now, folks, and so far 14 drivers remain. Unfortunately, we lost Pat, Diego, Motti Perez, Brabus, Neil and El Crin. Doubly unfortunately, we didn't see our pre-season winner Simopez show up today. Perhaps the driver most likely to be able to take it to Nicholas Boita. Yeah, we hope he comes back strong next week, of course, and can just make the race time just that little bit earlier. Hopefully we will see him again, because he's a tremendous racer to watch on track, and if he and Nicholas Boita are going to have the kind of pace that they had in pre-season testing, well, we'll be on for a brilliant season. I hope that a small issue like this doesn't cause a bigger issue later. But anyway, Ruthless Peach slipping back to 2.1 seconds now from the car in front, and after the pit stops things have really opened out a little bit as the drivers are managing their tyres. Wumax, although he still has not stopped, is 9 places up. Just check out the stops made. Yeah, just Wumax yet to stop, so we'll be expecting that fairly soon. The longer he can run, the better, of course, for his soft run at the end. We are just riding with Yoke here. Let's see how that goes. But anyway, up 6 places goes Barks and Manic. Manic probably having gained more from others' misfortune perhaps than Barks. So driver of the day might be Barks in contention. T-Bran in 7th has gained 5. Yoke in 9th has gained 4. But slipping back, of course, we saw what happened to Trugster. He's gone down 5 places, but has survived this difficult race so far for the leaders, who have, apart from Nicholas Boita, all come into some sort of issue, some sort of off-track moment. I see Reels Taravillo, while he's 5.4 seconds behind Hercus, we know Hercus must stop again. So he's not far enough away, is Hercus, to make this work. And not only that, but even if Reels cannot make the end of the race on those mediums, and I'm sure he can, on this day in history the tyre deck doesn't seem particularly huge. Even if Reels can't make the end, he'll be on softer tyres than Hercus at the end. Very wide runs Yoke there. He's struggling on the car at the moment. Of course, these soft tyres way past their best, And finally we get our last pit stop driver is Womack in the pits then, 29 laps, and he will have a nice even 22 to run on softs at the end of the race. Quite achievable, I feel, if he's got mediums that deep. That short medium stint for one of the drivers really did confuse me, I have to say. Who was it now that could barely make the tyres last beyond the soft runner? But anyway, Womack is in the pits. He's on his way out. He joins between Barks and Yoke in 8th place, but he should be pretty rapid now on his soft tyres once he's got them working well. As long as he can bring them in gently, he should have great tyres to fight at the end of this race. So a further place gained by Barks, but you feel he's going to be under a lot of pressure from Womack very soon indeed. Womack already staying within DRS, and we'll get fantastic drive out of the corner here, out of Luffield and through Woodcut. There you go. Woodcut's a nothing corner really. The only thing you need to worry about Woodcut is overstepping that white line against the old pit wall. Riding then with Womack. Manic picks up another penalty, we see. And Barks runs very wide coming out of Chapel. This could leave him vulnerable, and he's got very little by way of ERS left as well. Womack breezes by Barks and up to P7. So job number 1 done for Womack. He's got 3 seconds now to catch T-Bran up ahead, and feel like maybe he won't get better than 5th with everything staying the same as it is. But I do see Hercus needing to pit again as well. He's going a lot faster than Rills. That gap is now 7 seconds. Rills has temporarily left the session, so that's going to be pretty important. He's temporarily ghosted. Hopefully he can get himself back in. One of the retiring drivers can help him out, but Rills temporarily under AI speed, which is slow to say the least. So Rills slips back. Sicario up to P3, which this is really affecting Rills' battle with Hercus that we were watching earlier. Back with Barks and Womack. Barks doesn't want to let Womack get away with this one, despite the massive tyre differential. So Barks staying with him. NXQK is having a problem, and he slipped back behind Yoke. I don't quite see what happened there. Was that Rills coming back into the car, having lost 5 seconds on Rills? Because the ghosting, I think, is not on, so I can't get an easy indication. I'm pretty sure that's what the screen just told me. T-Bran running 29 laps on mediums. Again, he will have to stop again. I think that's soft, medium, soft for T-Bran. And the race continues into lap 32 with 20 to go. It's Nicholas ahead of Hercus, Sicario and Rills. Dirt Shark, T-Bran, Womack, Barks, Trugster and Eisenborg outside of the top 10 currently. Ruthless Pige, Yoke, NXQK and Manic, your 14 runners. We've lost our intervals temporarily. This does happen from time to time, unfortunately. Let's see if we can see any visual gaps. Sicario can't even see Hercus in front. I don't know if that's to do with my PS4 rendering or just the gap he's got. Eisenborg does have a nice close line on Trugster ahead though. Still going flat out is Eisenborg. That engine note was just the amount of steering lock he'd put on. Using 6th gear out of Chapel. It's a good exit for Eisenborg. Really impressive tonight, Eisenborg, I think. Might be a contender for my driver of the day. In fact, making those soft tyres last longer than anybody else, will now have more grip to play with all the way to the end of the race on the mediums. Although he did run out a little bit of grip there going into Vale. Womack's also closing now on the back of T-Bran. Womack's potentially in range to have a go here. In fact, he's got Barks right behind him as well. So looking to see how they go into Maggots and Beckett's. Womack's taking a wide line, anticipating some understeer. Looks a little clumsy through there. Maybe the tyres are not quite where he wants them. He will get a good run here though, gets the inside line. T-Bran not really fighting it. I think he knows the tyre difference, and T-Bran, is this the indication he needs to head into the pits? Oh no, he still wants to run much longer than this 30 laps. Beyond about 32, and there's not a lot of point. So he will, I'm sure, come into the pits shortly. He's obviously made up a lot of places at the moment with that early stop, and is hanging on as late as he can. Wonder how Truckster is making those hards work. Well, he's about to find out what the difference in tyre performance will give him, as here comes Eisenborg heading for another move. I think Eisenborg might be on for a good result here tonight, as will Womack's. 10 laps into Hercus Monte's gap, and I think he's got a pit stop over Rils Taravillo, who, as we saw, was under AI for a short while. Nice switchback move there, well covered from Truckster, but Eisenborg needs to get into position where he's got the traction zone out of the corners over Truckster. Messing about here in a corner you're never going to get the overlap past. That's not going to do it, so Eisenborg just needs to time his next run as good as possible, and if he can just get a good exit of Chapel, even give up a little speed through Beckett's too, he should have so much better drive. But he's let Truckster get away. Truckster is presumably pressing the button here a little bit for ERS deployment. And into Stowe corner they go. Eisenborg waiting, massive dive bomb down in towards the apex of Vale. In fact, so much so that Truckster was able to switch back and get him past. Oh, what a battle. Again, fantastic racing here on the UKSAs.com Better Racing League. And tremendous stuff there with Eisenborg, just slipping back again. But very fair and clean fighting between these two guys over 10th place, and over 9th place overall. Eisenborg currently 10th, but within range here. Still waiting on that second pit stop from Hercus. It might come very late in the race, but here comes Eisenborg then with a little dummy to the outside. Oh, he's let that one really go, and perhaps I was a bit quick with my praise over this battle. Truckster getting Truckster, I don't quite see what happened there with Eisenborg. They made contact and Truckster seemingly did a complete switchback on the driver. So Eisenborg not able to get past just yet, and maybe that will just edge him out of contention for my Driver of the Day award, unfortunately. But Truckster holding on here on the hard tyres. They're both in a similar position to the end of the race. I think they'll be on similar amounts of grip to the end of the race as well. Let's hope that one bit of contact doesn't build to more contact between these two. Truckster leaves the inside. Could send a postcard from the apex there for Truckster. So clearly pushing hard, pushing harder than his tyres will let him play with the ideal racing line. But maybe Eisenborg just needing to harvest a little bit here. He's slipped back slightly from the battle. As you see, Tebran closing in on Barks. No, what am I talking about? Has he had a problem, Tebran? I'm sure that was closer than a moment ago. Oh, Willian says rain in 15 minutes, so we may get a sting in the tail of this British Grand Prix. Still blue sky and clouds at the moment, but fantastic news from Willian. He says he doesn't trust Jeff. Normally, if Jeff says 15 minutes, it's usually about 11. So we could be in for wet conditions with about 10 to go here. That will definitely mess around with people's strategies, unlike the safety car that seemingly ruins everybody's strategies. But brilliant news from Willian there, because it's at the moment getting difficult to pick out where the battles are on track. Just Eisenborg within range here on Trugster. We'll go to the outside. Trugster with a pretty decisive swipe across the track. No further contact at this point. Does Trugster try and hold on, or is this a bit of a losing battle with the grip difference between the two cars? Eisenborg up to P9, and wow, Trugster backing the car through Club. Wasn't expecting the car to wash out like that, and that has absolutely let Eisenborg go. Be great if you could like or upvote the video tonight, and make sure you're following the channel. Oh wow, here comes Trugster struggling against Ruthless Peach now. Trugster has lost quite a few places here, unfortunately, dropping back behind Ruthless. Not quite sure what Trugster's trouble is. I think it's just the hard tyres getting offline, getting dirty, and they are so much harder to play with for the Alpine driver. Of course, Constructors Champions in Season 2, and it's not a great race for them so far. 8th and 11th. Ruthless Peach, not the best exit there out of Beckett's and Chapel. Allows Trugster to have another go to the inside of Ruthless Peach, and a nice move there. Willian says he's been a loyal follower since Season 1, which is excellent, absolutely excellent. But yeah, anybody watching back is obviously, I mean, if you haven't followed the channel already, maybe I need to say that every time, but I kind of assume that people know to follow the channel who've been watching for a long time. If you do like the commentary, you can find me on Twitter at WebboRed5, and YouTube and Discord as well. And I post every time I go live on Twitter, so you can tune in and see what race I'm up to now. Race number 193 today, so I'm nearing my double century. Race control tells me NXQK has another penalty, and you can see now only 5 drivers on this track without a penalty so far. Such is Silverstone. It does lend itself to drivers trying to tease their way over the track limits. There's lots of open runoff areas, so it's very easy for the drivers. So 3 seconds each for Hercus and Sicario. Rils is driving without penalty, and that's good news for his battle with Hercus, as I'm still expecting another pit stop from Hercus, although of course if the rain is coming he'll try and eke it out and equalise everything. Tebran and Eisenborg, despite what we saw from Eisenborg earlier, no penalties yet, so some great clean racing there, and Ruthless Peach has 8 seconds versus Trugster's 9, so make that 11 seconds to Trugster's 9, so he just slipped his way out of a profit situation against the driver in front, just as I'm running through the penalty situation. And unfortunately NXQK and Manic have got equal penalties on 18 seconds each. Manic a lap down, but not quite the dominance I'm seeing from Nicholas Boyter that I saw from Simapez in the first of our 2 pre-season races, where Simapez lapped the entire field. So we will see how that goes through this season. hopefully Nicholas won't have it all to himself. Ruthless Peach with the DRS goes down the inside of Truckster, and he's so much quicker at the apex that Truckster can't even hang on for the switch back into the next corner. And congrats to a good move from Ruthless Peach there, and is already starting to gap Truckster, who's, I think he was on hard tyres, was he not? Yes, so Truckster, his hard tyres not in a great position. There is your second pit stop from Hercus. There it is, and this is pretty big actually for the finishing order, because if they do need to pit again, of course everyone will use inters if the rain comes. And there is the second pit stop. So, and in fact, yes, there's the medium tyres coming on the car for Hercus. He's going to have to work hard to get the good pace overlap. Oh, big problem there for one of the Haas drivers. Right in the way of Hercus's outlap. And he won't thank Manic for that little spinneroonie on the way out of Abbey. So, really in his way, unfortunately for Hercus. But he's got a big challenge now. He's got to catch a soft tyre runner of Womax ahead, and Dirt Shark and Rills to get back onto the podium. What does Max Pez say? True decision. I'm not sure. I'm not following True decision. Did I say something weird, or are you asking me for something? So just clarify for me if you can. And Hercus then doing an interesting strategic option, soft medium. Didn't leave himself the opportunity to one stop and stay on everybody else's plan. I think that was a Barks fastest lap, was it? Let's see. No, it was a Hercus fastest lap. Excuse me. William says rain in 10 minutes now, so it's nearing, and I think that will mean about 6 or 7 minutes that the rain will actually come, probably around lap 45 to 48. I'll keep our eyes out. It's hard to spot sometimes on broadcast when the first drops of rain arrive. Hercus is right with his teammate who lets him go, and that's the kind of cooperation we expect to see in between identically liveried cars. Not so much what we expect to see against stablemates or completely unrelated teams, as we saw earlier on. Very much missing having Leox in the box here, because he could help me out with all of this background. He could tell me who's best friends with each other. I could figure out the Boiters are brothers, but I don't know anybody else's history with each other to factor that in. T-Bran on 38 lap old mediums is really out there, hanging those mediums out longer than you'd think possible, and probably wants to get them all the way to the end. Hercus's gap 6 seconds to Dirt Shark, and a further 3.5 to Rills and a potential podium. Although with that penalty, he's going to have to get even more points on the board. Look at the front wing, all grimy and scrubbed up from all the pickup on the circuit. Let's see what we can see from the perspective of the car. Hercus picks up another fastest lap, 29.6 on new mediums rather than new softs. Well, I do think T-Bran will go onto the soft tyres pretty soon, but he might be tempted to hang out for the rain. Nicholas leads though, and in fact if we do get the rain, then we will of course have another joker in the pack, because the rain does lend itself to drivers making even small mistakes and suddenly gaps being created or sliced into. Nicholas leads 14.7 seconds from Sicario and Rills on lap 42 of 52. What a race we've had on our hands here. No gap in any kind of excitement, and it's been end-to-end brilliant stuff. Rills is third with his teammate Dirt Shark in fourth, 4.1 seconds apart at the moment, and Hercus on the chargeback is in fifth with Womax, his teammate, in sixth place. Barks, our great leader, is in seventh, and T-Bran in eighth. Eisenborg 2.1 seconds behind him in ninth, with Ruthless Peach, Trugster, Yoke, NXQK and Manic. Manic 1 lap down and having spun at least once that I've seen anyway. So Trugster, he was temporarily quite close back with Ruthless Peach, but it's not staying. He's just got into DRS mode. Hercus has picked up another fastest lap, so another faster one from Hercus. Gap down now under 5 seconds, and he'd do well to bring his teammate with him, but his teammate's on old soft tyres, nearing the end of their useful life anyway. We know one of our drivers got the softs out to, was it 23, 24 laps? But I don't think he was really racing at that point. Sicario is on 17 lap old softs, and he's begging the rain to come, I think, now. It's a long race to run those soft tyres. He'll be the longest soft runner on the lightest fuel load, at least, towards the end of the race, if he does manage it. Could have on our hands a three-way battle coming up. Ruthless Peach closing on the back of the younger tyre shod Eisenborg. And we'll keep an eye out for that rain, which may come in a couple of laps' time. So they're getting close, these three, just not quite close enough under DRS conditions. Willian says rain in 5 minutes, so yeah, that could mean any second now, really, as far as a Jeff warning is concerned. But how wet, how much rain, and how quickly do the inter tyres become the right one to be on? It's very easy to be fooled by the rain on your visor or on your halo, I suppose, if you're using the T-Cam. Very easy to be fooled by it and start driving as if there is not quite the same amount of grip, whereas it does take a while for the track to be as wet as it looks sometimes, I think. Nice helmet design there on Ruthless Peach kart. Like a bit of that. So we'll stay on board with the drivers while we wait for the rain. Just tend to be easier to spot from their perspective. Barks picks up another penalty there. Unfortunately, T-Bran has now passed 40 laps on the medium tyre, and the rain cannot come soon enough for T-Bran. You can see Ruthless Peach struggling for grip. Those are very much not the best lines through Maggotts and Beckett's. And this three-way battle could soon turn into a four-way battle, because Trugster's not far behind this group. Over the curb goes Ruthless Peach. Still quite bright skies out there, in fact. So we can't see the weather radar. That'd be a nice overlay for Codemasters to do next year, wouldn't it? See the weather lines come over the track map. There's certain other gamers just decided to introduce that into the HUD. So Eisenborg closer to T-Bran than Peach is to him. Will we start to see any rain, any famous Silverstone rain? We're down to the last few laps now. Could be that it's so few laps that the drivers will choose to hang out on dry old tyres in the rain rather than putting on inters for the sake of 2 or 3 laps. We will see. That sky is not really giving us any kind of indication as to whether it's about to rain or not. The drivers will be pretty nervous, and here comes Eisenborg then with a good run on T-Bran. Eisenborg to the outside. T-Bran almost didn't see him coming. even though he will have been looking at the delta the whole time. NXQK picks up an unusual blue flag penalty there, and Manic picks up a very usual track limit penalty here at Silverstone. But Eisenborg gets passed up into P8 then, so a couple of extra points might be useful later. Still no sign of precipitation, and we wait. Now Ruthless Pige wanting to pounce on T-Brown. Remember, T-Brown 43 laps on the mediums. Desperate for a change in tyre condition. Will that mean his tyres will be less good in the rain or better? Difficult to say. But I do think the younger and the softer the tyre, the better to stay in temperature as the temperatures fall. So possibly advantage Womack, possibly Sicario. And Hercus still on only 5 lap old mediums, Hercus. But that 2-stop strategy could turn into a 3-stop with the rain, of course. Hercus trying to get back onto the podium is now 7 seconds behind Rils, and I do believe he got past Dirt Shark off screen. So here we go again. Of course, Ruthless Pige battle against T-Brown somewhat held up by the fact that his rival has got DRS ahead of him. Yoke with another penalty on the board. And Ruthless Pige quite early braking compared to T-Brown. Not often you see the driver in front on older tyres pull away under braking. So Pige being pretty careful here. T-Brown slipping out of DRS range. So down the Wellington Straight should be the first time Pige has a good bite at the back of the Alpine. Lap 47 of 52. Will the rain come spot on the forecast? And in fact, Ruthless Pige, a slight correction, and T-Brown with an absolutely amazing drive out down the Wellington Straight. I think he saw it coming. William Boyd says imminent rain. Are we going to end up with a -5 minute rain warning, I wonder, pretty soon? So 4 laps to go, 4 complete laps to go for our leader Nicholas Boyter. From Sicario, Rils, Hercus, Dirt Shark, Womack, Barks, Eisenborg, T-Brown and Ruthless Pige. Then Trugster, Yoke. Who was that going slowly? That was just a lapped car, I believe. Yeah, that Haas again of Manic, this time letting the cars go. Hercus, another fastest lap, 29.3. And is that rain? Well, was that a visual glitch I saw on the screen for a second? Could have sworn I saw a couple of raindrops. Oh, down the inside comes Ruthless Pige. Yes, it is raining. Confirm rain is now falling. It all seemed to happen at once. And on lap 48 we have rain for the sting in the tail of the Silverstone Grand Prix. And yeah, William confirming the rain. Yeah, there we go. So who can handle the rain better than anybody else? Who dives to the pits for intermediates? That's the question. I can see T-Brown getting good turn-in still on the circuit. Takes a little while for the drivers to just rewire their circuit map, to rewire their rhythm and start driving on reaction instead of anticipating the track conditions in front of them. You have to just kind of allow for that little bit of loss of grip just as the conditions start to change. It's not raining very heavily, but it's enough. It's enough for the drivers to be put off, and it's enough for someone to have an issue at some stage in the next 3 laps. I don't think anyone will bother to pit voluntarily here unless they're miles back and have got nothing to lose. So maybe you will see the first pit stops coming from the rearmost drivers on the circuit. T-Brown, he went over the apex there quite considerably. Hercus has caught a little by a further second on the back of Rils, but he's still got 6 seconds of a gap. So it does look like Rils is going to hold on despite that unfortunate disco mid-race. I think he's going to still hold on to the podium. Sicario, just check out our penalty situation now. Sicario with a 3-second penalty, so not within range. Hercus has that 3 seconds, so even if he caught Rils, it's not going to happen. for him. I'll try and keep an eye and see anybody making a sudden gap open. Warren says hello, right, and joins us for 3 wet laps of Silverstone at the end of this race. Hi to Warren. So Rils is 6.2 seconds down from Sicario. What tyres people are on matters a lot less right now than how they're driving in the wet conditions. Nobody is going for another set of tyres this lap, at least. And we've had loads of battles through the race. This first race of season 3 of the UK SA's Better Racing League. But no one's come close to Nicholas Boita, although his gap has been shrunk considerably. I wonder if Nicholas Boita is just very, very careful in the wet. Doesn't want to chuck this race away, but he does need to drive with a certain amount of aggression still on the tyres. Otherwise, they will just get colder and colder, and he'll get into a really negative spiral with grip. So Ruthless Peach crosses over for 2 more laps. Again, like I say, wet laps, but yeah, it's starting to pick up, isn't it? The wet conditions. We could have a problem on our hands for our drivers, and Sicario has got that gap down to under 10 seconds at the lead. Hercus closing by a further second to Rils. Is anybody going to be able to action a pass, or is anyone going to slip off this racetrack? You see Ruthless P struggling on understeer there. Still getting enough temperature in the brakes to light up the front axle, which is always good to see. Oh, Ruthless Peach again understeering wide out of Copse, and now the rain is coming in sideways in certain parts of the circuit. It's a big track, it's got a big geographic spread east to west, so it can rain one side of the track more than the other. Let's see, down to 8.8 seconds now, the lead, plus 3 currently for Nicholas Boita, so I do think he's taking it easy, trying not to lose this one or drop the ball at the 1 yard line, so to speak. We'll join him shortly, but I don't want to miss a battle or an attempt at an overtake, which isn't going to happen at the front for a while at least. Ruthless Peach under a second behind Eisenborg. DRS is still available to the drivers, so they're not too worried about officially wet declared race just yet. Willian saying the track is very wet, so very interesting there. The helicopter's still operating just fine in the rain though. So looks like Nicholas is about to start his final lap, and we'll join him for his glory run here through Abbey. Hardly any throttle pickup. Ruthless Peach picks up another penalty and just takes away any peril in that battle at the moment. Nicholas Boita treading very carefully, lots of short shifting, trying to pick up the apex of Farm in 4th gear. And yes, you can see it absolutely is very wet. Still trying to get to VMAX down that Wellington straight, but it's a challenge for our Mercedes driver who's led this race. Apart from the 1 lap under the pit stop conditions, he's led this race the whole time. Looks like T-Brand is struggling. His tyres are likely to be falling in temperature sooner than anybody else's, so a third of a second Truckster on T-Brand, but that is an inter-team battle. So into Maggots and Beckett's for the final, and 52nd time goes Nicholas Boita. I wonder how that left leg is holding up. He did say he was having cramp issues or something similar just before the race started after qualifying. The adrenaline, hopefully, the best painkiller in the world. So into the Stowe corner for the last time comes Nicholas. He has a 9.3 second gap now. He's got into a rhythm. He's got his matching helmet for LFR as well on the car, with the turquoise colour matching the Petronas stripe. And Nicholas Boita will take the win convincingly here in a increasingly wet Silverstone. Congratulations to the LFR driver from Brazil. Nicholas Boita takes the win tonight, and the first win of this third season. Sicario will cross the line with a very strong performance nonetheless into the final corner on 27 laps on those soft tyres. Hercus Monte takes third place. Rils, how did that happen, I wonder? How did Rils slip back? Rils slips back behind Hercus on the final lap. Dirt Shark fifth place, then Womax, the other Ferrari, making a very thick Red Bull sandwich between Ferraris. We've got Barks in seventh. Fastest lap goes to Hercus for all those runs on the new tyres with the two-stop strategy. And Ruthless will come through. Eisenborg has had a problem on the final lap. He's ditched the car on the final lap near the pit entry. Unfortunately, that is Ruthless Pige out of the race. Eisenborg out of the race on the final lap, as goes Trugster fighting with his teammate. Will Yoke manage to catch him up? T-Brand gets Ruthless Pige on the line due to the penalty difference. Trugster has such a gap over Yoke. I think he's going to be able to still pick up that 10th place for all important points. And Trugster crosses the line. I think Eisenborg will finish ahead of Manic because of him being a lap down. Yoke can't even get the car into Stowe there. It's so difficult. He gets past Eisenborg at the end. He'll be the last car to cross the finish line once he finally gets there. And Yoke will finish in 11th place. And I'm worn out. That was a long race. And tremendous driving from everybody concerned that survived a very difficult race. A pity for Eisenborg at the end, who gets driver of the day according to the game. It will be Sicario. Tough to argue with that. I was going to give it to his teammate before that battle turned a little bit sour at the end. But there he goes, giving out what? Oh, copies of the game. He gives out. Nicholas Boita lifts the trophy aloft for Brazil, for Mercedes. Fantastic stuff. We have a Dane and a Lithuanian, I believe, on the podium. And brilliant stuff. Sicario, a well-deserved Driver of the Day award as well. We'll find out how many places he actually gained once we get to our results screen. So Sicario did start in ninth place, and there is Nicholas Boita winning the race in P1, of course, with a total time of 80 minutes and 23 seconds. I don't think that would be a record thanks to the rain in Silverstone. Sicario, Danish driver, comes second for Aston Martin, and Hercus somehow or other picked up. Now, did Rils get a dodgy penalty at the end, I wonder? Was that a timing glitch? The game is telling us Hercus takes third place and fastest lap for Ferrari. Rils fourth, that could switch round. Then Dirt Shark, Womax, Barks, T-Brand, Ruthless Pige, Trugster get the top 10. Yoke, Eisenborg was credited with 12th, and NX and Manic behind. And then falling out of the race was Crin, Neil, Brabus, Motti Peretz, Diego and Pat. And that completes your standings for this first race of the third season here of the UKSA's Better Racing League. I've been Webbo, solo tonight, but hopefully we'll have Leox back to join us next week, as you're all used to. I'm sure you're all very disappointed that it's just me tonight, but try my best for you. This has been Webbo, this has been UKSA's Better Racing League, and I will catch you on the next race day.